This bike right here boasts built-in wheelie mode, so anybody can wheelie. But how true is that? Is this the ultimate leg up in learning balance point? Or is it simply just a gimmick to give a vague appearance of skills? Well, as someone with 2 decades of riding experience yet never learned how to wheelie, I say let's find out. I'm gonna try to wheelie this bike until the battery dies over and over and over again to see whether or not the wheelie mode in this bike is an actual advantage or just a load of baloney. This right here is the new kid on the block, the Anyland Rev Pro, and has the feature among features which helps it stand out amongst its competition, which is a motion controller inside which actually has wheelie angle lock. Allow me to demonstrate. Basically, this controller has 3 different presets in which it detects a certain angle and will actually modulate the throttle, even cut it off in order to stay at that desired angle. These 3 angles are 25 degrees, 35 degrees, and 45 degrees. So why not just get into it? We have a long flat straight here with a slight incline, ideal for wheelies, and we'll just go back and forth and see what plays out. I suppose we'll get started in the lowest one with 25 degrees. I don't know if that's going to be correct though. I probably should just go for the full 45 degrees, but let's just see how that plays out. First attempt, it'd be nice if I actually got the 25 degrees. I feel like I'm just riding it out. I'm just power wheeling and it's not even getting there. Maybe if I start a little slower and just get there first, then see if I can carry the momentum. Whoa! Yeah, so I'm going to abandon the 25 degrees because even when I got there, I don't feel like I had enough angle to keep it. It was just always going to fall down, and then I would just be revving out as much as I could. So let's just bump that up, and I think I'm actually going to go incrementally. That way I can get a feel for how far back I'm going each time, and we'll bump that up to 35. All about those baby steps. I'll start slow. Okay, that's 35. Wow. That was a lot more comfortable, actually. So I haven't quite gotten there, but I want to bump it up again to the 45 degree, maximum degree. Oh, I'd say that helps. Wow, first try. Oh, I went too slow. I'm stuck in a loop. But you may or may not have noticed that this bike has a few changes since the last time you saw it in stock form to make it better at wheelies. First change to this bike, surprise, surprise, is going to be a set of Supermoto wheels. God, I'm predictable. This is a wheelie aid though, replacing the off-road knobby tires for smooth street tires allows for a little bit of steadiness on a smoother contact patch that's more consistent with a street tire rather than the unsteadiness that an off-road tire can give, and I need all the help I can get. It also helps that the set in question is purple, my absolute favorite color, and I think this is gonna look really good against the blue-gray plastics that the bike has currently. I'm not gonna tell you where I got these because while it looks like it's powder coated, it also looks like they powder coated for the very first time using this as a template, and it doesn't really look that good up close. Good enough for YouTube though. Actually, the Supermotos are not the first thing that I did. As you can see right here, the first thing I did was replace the rear shock because the rear shock that comes on this bike is absolutely horrible. So I was able to swap it out with something that is much better, despite the looks, in the most recent Tudio flip bike. However, one of the problems with this shock that I've noticed is that the Tudio rear shock is a little bit too long for the Anyland's frame. So the rear just sits way too high. It probably doesn't show up that much on camera, but you can definitely feel it. It's just stink bugging all over the place. So I had to find a replacement shock, so I got this one off of Amazon from Maroka. It's 10 millimeters shorter, and hopefully that's enough. Oh, that's so much better. Next up, which is very much needed whether or not you want wheelies for the Rev Pro, which is the throttle. We need to get rid of this half twist because if you're using this for wheelies specifically, you want all the grip you can get, and you can't get that with the half twist. You can only get half of that. I'm sure by now you know exactly where I'm going with this. We're gonna take this half twist throttle, get rid of it, that was abrupt, and go with the Sur-Ron style full twist throttle. The only annoying part with this is that the Anyland's wiring harness uses a lot of these Jewelette style connectors, and the Sur-Ron does not have that same style connector, so I do have to do some splicing and dicing, and there's also a difference in wire color. This is very common also with Mototex or anything else with the far driver really, but it goes black to black, brown to red, and blue to white. And finally, I'm gonna unplug the brake switch because I kinda need both the brake and the throttle. After all those mods, I think it's safe to say it definitely helps. I thought it would take a lot longer. It's only been a half an hour, but I think I've really improved. It looks like I know what I'm doing. This really is a cheat code. Like, that looked legitimate, right? But it is still a cheat. I'm not actually wheeling, but I think now the name of the game is to use that cheat code to my advantage to fine-tune all the other things that, as I'm sure you're going to comment, I'm clearly getting wrong. That way, I can do it on a safe platform, and who knows, maybe even take this to a different bike entirely, something that doesn't keep me from looping out. I'm figuring out fast now that there is a lot to wheeling that I can clearly see even as a total newbie. There's so many elements to it. There's body position, balance point, throttle feathering, brake feathering. There's still a lot for me to learn. So I survived my first day, or night, I guess, and tonight is night number 2, and I realized that yesterday it was a lot of getting to grips with just getting this thing up, just popping up the front, because it's a bit of a dance, especially with these underpowered bikes. But you have to really weight the front and then spring back and time the throttle just right so that you can get it all done. And I'm still getting to grips with it, as you can plainly see, but I want to start adding in additional elements to a wheelie, and tonight I'm going to be focusing on the rear brake. Using the brake once I get to that angle to modulate and bring me slowly back down again, rather than whacking on the throttle or moving my body position, so that way I get in the habit of tapping that rear brake anytime I feel uncomfortable. Well, I think I'm getting the hang of it. I'm keeping the throttle consistent, but just slowly squeezing the brakes to bring me back down again. It's definitely becoming much more of a reflex to just squeeze that index finger. But I think there's one other mod I can add to this bike to make that process even better. And that would be a new rear brake, a good rear brake. Moto recently reached out to me and asked if I had the need for an Ultra B style rear brake, and I said, well, as a matter of fact, yes I do. This is a full rear brake setup with a rear bracket designed for the Tudio or the Yasma, but I think it'll work on the Anyland as well. Like I suspected, this is a direct fit for the Anyland, which is a good sign, so you can upgrade this bike as well. However, there is one additional piece that you're gonna need in order to make that fit work, and that is a spacer. As you can clearly see right here, there's a bit of a gap between the swing arm and the bracket, and that's because the bracket that it came with actually has this spacer kind of built in. Thankfully, I had a set of 12mm spacers of various sizes, so this smallest one, 5mm, will do just the trick. We're definitely not done yet. We actually have to disassemble this bike, basically taking off all the plastics and even removing the battery so that way we can route everything appropriately. It's nice that everything is connected and plumbed up so I don't have to deal with bleeding the brakes, but that also means I need to route everything appropriately. But it gives you a chance to see the innards of this bike, and look at that controller. It is so tiny. It's amazing what this little thing can do. Oh, that is so much better. Look at this, just one little tap and straight down. Not only does this brake look absolutely amazing, but the stopping power on this is exceptional. It's got twice the number of pistons, that being 2. As you can see, I think I have throttle and braking down, but clearly I need to work on side-to-side balance. I think the problem is that I have my knees too close. I'm basically hugging the frame, but I shouldn't be. I should have my body outward. That way I can be able to balance. It's kind of like how you see trapeze artists that have that long bar. It's there to keep them balanced, to keep them upright side to side so they don't tip over. So I need to just put that in my head that I gotta use my knees to do that for myself. There we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Much better now. Well, I say that, I'm still swinging my hips. That last bit was pretty good though. I'm just gonna blame the fact that this parking lot is sloped to the left in the direction that I'm going, so I'm kind of always going to be sloped that way. But this, oh look at that, that was pretty good. That was pretty straight. I should mention that I'm also cheating this a little bit more because the rear tire is actually kind of flat. It's a trick that a lot of people will do to maintain more of a contact patch, so it's not rounded like you see on a street tire, it's more flat. That was good. Yeah! Oh, that might not have been much compared to what I've been doing, but have you noticed? I'm not in wheelie mode anymore. And one thing I noticed is that the wheelie mode, I think, slows your acceleration a little bit because it's much easier to pop up. And there's my loop. I think I just proved the fact that with the wheelie mode, I think it does regulate the throttle even before you get to that angle, so it slows it down. It feels like I get there much smoother, but with this, you can feel all the acceleration and it just pops up much snappier than with wheelie mode. So I guess I gotta be a little careful about that. I can't just whack the throttle. Oh, look at that. That was clean, but it's now in the back of my head now that I know that it's not on. Remember your training, son. Remember your training. In a small sense, I feel like I regressed just a little bit because I was relying on that too much, so I realized now, at least, with no aids whatsoever, that I'm still a little on-off on the throttle, and obviously very hesitant to get anywhere near balance point. It doesn't look like much, but in a sense, I feel like I've graduated because I could not have been able to do even that like a week ago. And going back to wheelie mode, I feel like a champ. I've done a little bit of damage to this thing. I think this is getting a little worn out. What do you think? I didn't know the Rev Pro was hiding geese down there, but we'll definitely have to take apart this rear and re-grease a few things, then we can head back out. Well, I took a couple days off, but it looks like it was worth the wait because they repaved my stomping grounds. This is awesome. Okay, I'm a little rusty. Okay, very rusty. All right. I think at the very least the pop-up, getting up and into that position, is a lot more natural. Still got to work a little bit on my balance, and my throttle, and my brake, and my everything. But it's not bad for less than a week. And since we're only getting up to a week's worth of practice, I say why not see what I can get done in 7 days total. But that means I only have 2 days left, and really, if I want to see what my actual progression is, I need to spend as much of that time as possible not in wheelie mode. So I'll do a few runs with wheelie mode just to get into the rhythm of things, and then we can shut it off and see what happens from there. There we go. Ha-ha! That was like half, maybe a fourth of what I've ever been able to do, but it's progress. Also, greasing everything down here did absolutely nothing. It still squeals like a goose. Hey, there we go. I think it's safe to say I'm not getting distance, but I'm getting cleaner. That's why I've moved to this side of the parking lot, because now I have lines to indicate like how far I've gone. How many parking spaces can I wheelie across? And right now I think the average is about 3 or 4. There we go. That was more like 7. There we go. That was clean. How many spaces do you think that was? Probably 7. Whew, I'm losing my battery and I'm losing my grip. That's why I had to switch to motocross gloves a few days ago, because my regular street gloves were just too grippy and giving me blisters underneath the fingers, so this helps. Okay, last day. It's muggy, but we're going to make it count because I'm on a different bike. It is still an Anyland, but this is the Anyland Rev 1, not the Rev Pro. So this doesn't even have wheelie mode. So if I can wheelie on this, I can wheelie. A lot more I have to contend with on this one. It has the dirt tires, so I have less traction and less stability, or at least I think that I have less stability. We'll find out. And I also have the half twist throttle. This is the worst throttle that I've ever used. So if I could do it on this, I could do it on anything. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, it's definitely slower. I really have to lean back on this one to even get this thing even close to balance point. And see, even there, nothing. So we are adapting. There we go. Okay, okay. Yes! Oh, dang it. That was so good. Then I scared myself. There we go. Usually it's my brake lever hand that's hurting, but it's definitely the throttle hand today. Yes! Oh, that was... I freaked out a little, but that was good. I just need to do that more and further and better. Also, speaking of brake hand, the brakes on this are stock, obviously, and I can really feel the difference between this and the ER Moto setup. The ER Moto setup was so much nicer. It's so much smoother and so much more effective. This one just feels really stiff. It feels almost old in comparison, so highly recommend the ER Moto setup. There we go. My feet were off, obviously. All right, my arms are getting tired. It's really hot today, covered in sweat, so we're gonna do just a few more and see what my total progress is for the week, start to finish. This is my final exam, if you will. Hey, not bad. Okay, one more. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, what do you think? I know, it doesn't look like I've done that much, but I think I've learned a lot despite the appearances. Wheelie mode won't teach you how to wheelie 100%, but what it will do is give you the confidence to be able to try it in the first place. You see, one of the biggest hurdles and fears, quite frankly, of wheeling is that of looping out, because I've seen the damage that it can do. I've seen road rash. I've seen broken tailbones. I don't want that, but knowing that this bike can get me up to an angle at 45 degrees and hold me there allows me to get to that balance point and feel that out comfortably and confidently. So I would argue that the mode on this bike is not actually wheelie mode or auto wheelie assist as the website would claim. Think of it more as anti-loop. It's not that I've mastered wheelies, it's that I've mastered wheelie mode. And there's a difference. But this certainly isn't the end of my wheeling career. I'm going to continue to practice with and without anti-loop mode on this bike. But it is the end of the video. I do want to give a quick shout out though to ER Moto for graciously providing me that rear setup. They actually gave me a discount code too. So if you want to get a set of your own, and I highly recommend that you do, use code LEXDFOX, you'll get 5% off of that set. I mean, those brakes are awesome. They really came in clutch. I mean, brake.